y'all. We made it back to Friday. Happy Friday. It is February. I cannot believe we have already made it here. I feel like the last month has flown by. I literally feel like I was like blinking. It was New Year's Eve just a minute ago. So I don't know how you all are feeling, but thank you for joining us. I have two phenomenal people here with me today. I'm so excited to bring them on with us. So please give a round of applause for Melissa and Gretchen. What's up, y'all? How are you?
I am so excited to be here with you two. I don't know how we did this, but this is going to be crazy. I warned some people.
No, I love it. I'm so excited to get to talk to you both and whoever else. This is great. Yeah.
All right, cool. So whoever is joining us, if you are joining us, please comment. Where are you? Where are you joining us from? Let us know. We don't know you're here if you don't comment, okay? So please drop it in. Let us at least say hello to you and recognize you for showing up. We appreciate you. I want Melissa and Gretchen to get to do a little intro. So ladies, who would like to go first?
Okay, I just have to go and say hi, Chris. Hi, Jody. Hi, Stephen, Harold, Samantha. My goodness, happy to see you. You see me. It's Melissa Houston, coach. I have the show on Saturdays. If you don't know, now you do. It's Coffee Chats with Melissa, where I highlight people kind of like Lauren does, but I show up in pajamas with my coffee and my cup, and we talk about a lot of stuff. Beyond that, I am also managing director of Expert Background Solutions. We are a background screening firm that was established just last year, and we already have 50 plus years of experience on the team. So we're out here ready to do background checks for all of the employers listening. Message me. I'll be ready after I'm done. But happy to be here. Thank you so much, Lauren. Love you. Gretchen.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, and I think it's a milestone. Melissa is on camera, everybody. So that's huge. I'm so happy. And I'm happy to see part of your new office. So yeah, my name is Gretchen Skalka. I own Career Insights Consulting, and my show is The Plight Attendant, which is every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that basically is, The Plight Attendant is my word, the way I say problem solver, right? Everybody's got it. We talk about it, whatever it is. I am a career coach if you need to put a stamp on something. But what I was saying earlier to somebody today is people come to me with challenges in their career. It's rarely ever about their career. And so we get down to it and we talk about, like Melissa said, we talk about a lot of stuff. So I'm really happy to be here, and I appreciate both you ladies and everybody that I see here in the chat window that, I love you all.
And y'all, we definitely, just so you know, we want you to ask some questions in the chat today. So if you have questions for Gretchen or Melissa, I have two coaches on here who are going to give you some free advice if you ask your questions. They don't do that often. They're normally like, okay, you can get 15 minutes of my time. Maybe we'll see if this will turn into something more. But I got this for an hour, and I'm going to make them answer your questions.
Oh, no.
So y'all, let's dive in.
All right. If my eyebrow goes up, I apologize in advance, guys.
Ask some questions. I think Melissa froze a little bit.
Did I really? Look at
me. You're back. All right. Well, we're going to dive right in, Melissa. We're going to go into purpose and passion. So hopefully Melissa doesn't freeze. And let's jump into that.
Oh my gosh, purpose and passion. It's the reason to show up and wake up every day, right? And if it isn't, I'm really going to question why you're doing life. So we should talk. But what I believe is if you can focus on your purpose and passion and make it something you get paid for, you really can just smile throughout life. And so when you see this positivity on my timeline, it's because my boss, the guy who opened up his checkbook to create Expert Background Solutions, tells me to eat glitter when I'm having a slower day. I want people to know that's a reality for them. They can go find a boss who will say, hey, so sorry, here, eat some glitter, you'll feel better. It's a mindset. When I met his family, he's like, how did you turn this Scrooge-ish guy who's like really gruff in the back, the numbers guy, into a guy begging you to eat glitter for a living? Purpose and passion. When you're happy about it, people want to pay for it. Disney is the perfect example. If you've coached with me, you've heard it a million times. So that's kind of why Gretchen and I get along so well. Is we both know that's what moves the car, right? You can go anywhere you want, but if you're not driving down the road that really where you want to get to, there's going to be things that make you stop. And so Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was. It's a new phrase. You're going to hear me say it a lot, but Melissa's the back to my cheese, man, because we do come at the same things, but from slightly different perspectives. But it all zips up and it works. And when it comes to purpose and passion, passion is great, but purpose is your why. Purpose is the reason that you get up, that you do it, all that kind of stuff. And passion is, some people like poo-poo passion, but it's not fleeting. That's a little fire, but the purpose is that why, the thing that ignited the fire. That's the thing that keeps you going, and it's extremely important. So don't let anybody ever tell you that you just need to get a job and don't worry about your purpose and your passion. It's incredibly important. It is a guiding force, and if you're not sure how to do it, or you don't think you can, or you don't think you have it, reach out to Melissa, reach out to me, reach out to Lauren. Half the people in this chat you could reach out to. Like, it's there, and you should be encouraged to go for it. And I mean, go for it with gusto. Yeah. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Melissa, what's a time in your life when you were like, I'm going to go for it with gusto?
Oh man, it was last year. I was so mad. Okay, guys, if you've ever been mad at a boss, I need you to amplify that by 20 and then put a little Hulk spirit into it. And that's where I was February of last year. I turned my LinkedIn resume, into the color that you see today. I was sick of people telling me what to do with my timeline. I still fight that battle now. Hall monitor, sit down, block me. It's not going to work out. I know. It's okay. But I came and I was just not appreciated. I wasn't being heard by my client. I call him my boss. He paid my bills, but really he was a client. He was getting a service from me. And I had hit the ceiling. It frustrated me. You can't tell me no. I get angry. So I went to LinkedIn Land and I told my friends, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not just going to be word of mouth and references anymore. You come find me. I'm here. And it was 1,700 people on my timeline a year ago. Half of those people were sales prospects that I really never even engaged with anymore. So I cut a bunch of people, and now I'm at over 11,000 throwing glitter and stuff that shouldn't be on LinkedIn.
It should be on LinkedIn. Anybody who says it shouldn't be on LinkedIn, come on, y'all. I want to highlight what Trevor just said. Read that, Melissa. It's about you.
Yeah, it is. Gusto. Do it with gusto. Like, okay. I'm ready to just like.
I know most of the people here have met Melissa, but I met Melissa. Oh my goodness. How long ago was it, Melissa? About a year ago now. When I was looking to transition, trying to find a coach, trying to find somebody to walk me through, right? And let's be honest, we need a coach. We need somebody who can say the things that we won't say to ourselves, or the things that when we say it to ourselves, it's like, do I really believe myself? Right. You need that person. So I met Melissa through a comment on LinkedIn. And I just want you all to know how powerful LinkedIn can be in the comments. I know we talk about it. We talk about supporting other people, but when you can find value and meaning and build relationships in the comments and in public with other people, it really is a special place to be. There's no other platform where people are doing that right now, where people are super supportive. Go look at all of the trolls on all of the other sites. And don't get me wrong, they're coming to LinkedIn. We have a few of them. But for the most part, on LinkedIn, it's super positive and powerful. Yeah. And I met both of these women through LinkedIn. I've met so many amazing people. Every single person who's been on this show, I've met through LinkedIn. I did not know one of these people outside of LinkedIn in real life before any of this. So I just want to highlight all of that. And Trevor said something else about you, Melissa. It's a testament to how she connects that I would know and remember that without looking around.
I've been able to hug that man. He lives in my town. We're doing coffee again soon. We're spending Valentine's Day together on his show.
So cool.
But it's about community, guys. Every single bit of this, if we're going to be here, why are we here if we're not connecting? I mean, what's the purpose? If your boss is making you, it's one thing. We get it. We see you. But if you're here and your boss isn't making you, you should be really doing what we're doing with fun and color and whatever makes you passionate.
But Amen.
Really quick, I just want to tell Trevor, there is a YouTube stream, Trevor. You can find it on YouTube, Lessons with Lauren on YouTube, okay? Go ahead, Gretchen. Sorry.
No, I was going to say to that point, Melissa, even if your boss is making you, make something of it. I mean, we spend the most time, the single activity we spend most of our waking hours engaged in is work, in the enterprise of work with people that we work with. So it should be enjoyable. Some form of it, some little piece of it should be enjoyable. And if it's not, that deserves a lot of inspection. But make something enjoyable. It's got to be about more than a paycheck. And that goes even if you are, paycheck bound. It has to mean more than that, because you're spending more of your time in that enterprise than with your family, with your friends, with anything else. Make it mean something. Make that time count, because you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
You really can, and you should. And if you're not making the most of that time, you're really only doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's your time and you have it. And I think that goes back to that purpose and passion. Own it. Take control. It's yours.
And guys, I mean, honestly, I just want to say, Lauren, when we talked about you're out there doing it for yourself. And we had this discussion. We all have imposter syndrome, or we're like, should we do this for ourselves? Are we sure we want to go step out and wear that shield as an entrepreneur? But why not? You're only getting 10% of what you did for the other person, or you're only getting 20% for what. Why not? You did it for whoever. I was the top seller of those candy bars in elementary school. Shout out to my hometown Longfellow. Like, I didn't get any money out of that. I got a lunch. It was cool. But then I sell newspapers, and I was a top seller, door-to-door newspapers. Again, I didn't get much out of that. I got $3 a subscription. And I just kept thinking, why am I only getting that little bit? I get a lot of bit now. I get a lot more than a little bit, right? And it's because I didn't allow myself to take less. Yeah. I was already doing it for somebody else.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's special once you realize you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's empowering when you realize that you can, that you can create exactly what you want. You spend enough time thinking about it. Take that first step, passion and purpose, man. Take that first step. It's only unattainable if you never take that first step.
That's it. You're going to write your story either way.
Yeah.
And also with what Steven just said, you can have fun here with the people you're meeting, and you can build with purpose and passion and enjoy, which is something that I've been talking to a lot of candidates and job seekers about recently. And what Steven just said, my manager told me she enjoys my post. It invokes emotion for her. That's what's important. And that's what we have to keep working towards. So Steven, great job. That's really, really powerful. Franklin says, Gretchen, what is your process for building someone's confidence, which is doing a reset in their career growth?
So that's a really good question, Franklin. And I think that the first place that I always start when somebody comes to me and they want two things, because that's a two-sided question. We have a confidence issue and we have a career pivot, a reset. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to understand what's important, what the goal is. So I want to give you an example. I want to go for a higher title, a promotion, more money, whatever, but I don't think I can do it in my current employer. I think I got to go find a new job. So that's a scenario where we might have to do a career reset, but I might not have the confidence, or my client might not have the confidence to go for it. So I have to start at ground level. Why do we want that? Why do you want the bigger title, more money, all those kind of things? There's a reason for that. So we have to get into that. Not just that you want to make more money, but what does that do for you? Does it provide some sort of freedom for you? Does it open doors for you? Does it open opportunities for you? So, what does that say? And what do you do with that? Now we go through what that looks like for you and how to begin building that confidence. Confidence is a muscle, right? We build it a little bit at a time. And that's why I always tell my clients, when we're building someone's confidence, we look at every single thing along the step to the goal, and we celebrate every single one of those steps and wins. And the reason for that is because a lot of people wait to celebrate until they get to the goal, or until they make some monumental milestone, not realizing that there were 20 steps they had to take just to get to that milestone. Those are all wins. And if we don't celebrate them, we can easily forget that they happen, which is another reason why people quit on the way to their goal, because they don't realize they've been successful all along. Haven't lost that 10 pounds yet? Okay, you lost 3. That's a win. Let's look at what happened and got you to those 3. And now let's compound in 10 times that and get you all the way. That's how you do it. So you build that confidence muscle every win at a time. And when you do that, you realize you have the confidence, not maybe just to do a career reset, but but maybe to go to your current manager with a good proposal about why you deserve that in your current spot with your current benefits and your current 401k and everything else without maybe needing to change. You never know where that's going to take you, but that's where I start, is two sides of that question.
I have to add to that. And you know why? The why. It's because humans learn how to learn in the first 5 to 7 years of their life. And during that time, we're in elementary school. And they give us grades on paper as we go. They're testing. They're going back and revisiting the concepts. And then they also give us progress reports. They stop us and go, hey, guess how you're doing? And here's a summary of those actions. And it's based on your skill sets. When you grow up, you don't need that less. Good employers do that with you and help you keep growing. If you don't have a good employer to do that, you have to do it for yourself and teach them what you've done on your own. So make sure you're tracking your progress, because if they're not doing it with you, you have to do it for them. By doing so, you're going to show your place in the team, and you're possibly going to create a whole new program with them.
And you just said something really important that I don't think a lot of people realize they have the power to do, which is you can train your employer into how you need to be managed or communicated with or anything else. You can show them, you can illustrate little by little every day what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And you can begin to build that relationship on your terms, under your control. You may not think so, but you absolutely have the power to do that. Everybody has the power to do that.
Mine tells me to eat glitter when I'm down. You can train them. I promise you.
I want to also say that it's important, if you are working for yourself, to write those progress reports for yourself as well, right? Because you get so bogged down in wearing all of the hats and doing all of the things.
Yep.
But if you're not being mindful of how much you've actually accomplished, it's very easy to feel like 1 step forward, 3 steps back every day of your life. So like Gretchen said, celebrate the progress along the way, write down the steps. Those have been some of like my most powerful days lately. It's when I write down like, oh my God, I actually did get a lot done today, but I don't pause throughout the day. It's like 1,000,000 miles an hour. I don't stop, just go, 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 go. But you have to pause and reflect. So make sure you're doing it for yourself. If you're working for yourself as well.
You see what Adam says? I love saying no now. No is one of my favorite words.
Yes, Adam says, I love saying no. Really quick, Rob says, preach it. Y'all, I had the opportunity to meet Rob in person. He was in Fort Lauderdale, and he drove up. We met in Deerfield Beach at the cutest little cafe called the Modern Rose Cafe. I had an amazing opportunity to meet Rob. If you get an opportunity, go meet Rob in person. He's awesome.
I'm already jealous. I want to meet Lauren and Gretchen in person. They're close enough to do this. So I'm going to have to come in.
Gretchen and I live close. We're going to make it happen soon.
Yeah.
I was sick the last time we were supposed to make it happen. Harold says, coaching is such an important part of the learning process. Y'all, even your coach has a coach. Everybody needs
We
a coach.
do.
Yep.
Yes, Adam, I love saying no now. Yes, no, and no is the full sentence. Like, you don't have to explain to someone. You don't have to give them a reason. You can just say no, and like there's power in that too. So don't forget that. Megan says, too many of us were taught that just keeping your head down and working hard is enough. But if your manager doesn't see that hard work in progress and doesn't know what your goals are, the hard work isn't helping you.
Yeah, and communication is a big part of that. You know, some managers are bad, right? They're not going to communicate with you. They're not going to ask you. They're not going to, you know, and some people don't feel empowered to speak up to certain leadership, right? So there's a sort of maybe assumption that, well, he knows what's important to me, or she knows that I want, you know, to be on that project or on that committee, and they don't speak up for themselves, or they don't feel like, you know, like to Megan's point, keep your head down, work hard. You know, I actually had a client whose boss told her, and I was blown away. I actually put this on Facebook, to be a little less of herself in meetings. Bring a little less of yourself next time. No. Under no circumstances is that ever appropriate for anybody to say to you. But how do you discuss that, right? That's an offline discussion that has to happen, but it has to happen in the moment. And that's another thing that's difficult for a lot of people to do, is when something like that, a verbal infraction, happens from somebody in a leadership position to you. A lot of times we feel like we can't say anything. Not only can we and should we, but you have to do it in the moment. Tactfully, diplomatically, but you have to address it in the moment. And that will go a long way to having it never happen again.
100%. 100%. And Stephen, I love saying no with purpose. Stephen, there's power in that, right? Rob is blushing from our comments. We got to jump into this next topic, y'all, and then we're going to go back to some comments in a minute, but we like to talk. We're behind, you can tell. Okay, so our next topic is making change, how to take the first step. And I'm sure a ton of the people who are watching us today have this problem. They know they need to make change. They know it's right around the corner. They've been waiting. Something has held them back. How do you take that first step? What is the way? What advice would you give those people, and who wants to go first?
I'm going to go first because mine's the simple version, right? I will say I'm the elementary version of coaching. Gretchen is like the advanced college level version. I am the first step. I am not the last step in all the coaching, but I do have really good resources and friends to send you to. And so what I do is I make you sit down with crayons, literally. I ask you to go get your markers out. Who are you? If you're here, I want to give it to you right now for free. The first circle is the good, the bad, the ugly. Tell me what's in your life and make it bullet points. You don't have to share this with me, but you know if you're in debt, you know if you're unhappy at work, you know if you love to cook, you know if whatever those things are. The next circle is who do you want to be as a 5-year-old billionaire on a Saturday? And the reason I ask it that way is we've all seen Richie Rich. I'm kind of aging myself if you haven't seen it. Us older generation grew up on it. And he got rich and he had all these cool toys to share with his friends. And of course, if we all get rich, that's what we want to do. But it's a Saturday, so you can't do business. So those friends are coming over to play. How would you play? What would you do with them? Because if you tell me you want to go drive a car, I'm going to dare you to go drive a car on the weekends for fun. And you're going to meet people who drive with purpose all the time because that's where they spend their weekends too. And it's going to change your circle and it's going to change your goals. It's going to change the opportunities around you. But if you tell me you love to cook, I'm going to dare you to make your profile cover photo something you've made. Because that's who you are. That's your passion. Tell people who like food are going to show up and be friends. And then those conversations they have because, oh my gosh, you made me hungry with that hot dog or whatever, turns into a new connection, turns into when are you coming to Louisiana? When are you going to work with me? When are you going to feed me? You have to bring that to the potluck. I hired that guy. I need to tell you it worked. I had career coaches telling him not to do it when his employer had already offered him the job and told him to do it. Do what moves you and the right people will find you. The bad information comes from not looking at what makes your center. So when you get that first circle and that second circle defined, just overlap them. And what's in that middle is where you should grow from. Everything on the left, you work away from your life. Everything on the right, you work into. Mm-hmm. That's the simple, basic, take it and go. But once you figure that out, you really can move a lot faster and in happier places.
Yeah. And I think too, for me, one of the places to start when it comes to making change is, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. So what does that look like? What do you believe is possible for you? You have to start there. If you don't believe it's possible for you, whatever you say you want, it's not. I hate to tell you. You have to get down to that level and understand, one, everything is possible. I mean, okay, let me clarify. I'm never going to be 20 feet tall or 80 pounds. However, you know, everything really within reason is possible. If you want to do it, you can actually create the circumstances through which that can happen. And so if you have a fundamental belief that you can do the thing, you can get the thing, you can have the thing you want, then it's a matter of that first step would be, that is the first step, identifying that you believe in it, that you can do it. Because right there, that's the hardest thing to do. From there, it's a matter of, like Melissa said, who's around that can help you? Who do you need to meet? Because when you believe it's possible, again, like the old saying, or not the old saying, but I think a classic saying, when the student is ready, the master appears. So when you know you're ready for it, things just start happening. You will meet people, the Laurens, the Melissas, the Trevors, the Stevens, all those people in the world will just start to come into your orbit. You'll notice a post they made, you'll comment, he'll comment back, you'll have a relationship. These things start to happen. It's a snowball effect, but you have to recognize when it's happening and you're already doing it. But for me, that first step is getting a fundamental understanding of what I believe is possible for me.
The other thing I have to just say is you said something about never being 20 feet tall. My question to you would be, well, why do you want that? And if you told me because you want a spectacular view, I'm going to help you build a ladder and you don't have to go through the growth.
Right, exactly.
And so it really, when you understand your why, the how becomes a different conversation completely.
Yeah, it's very, very true. Yeah.
I love this. So there is a question, and I'll address this too, but curious if either one of you have anything to say. So can you give insight, please? Company A made me a verbal offer last week, but checks prior employment and prior education before giving a written offer. In the meantime, I'm still taking interviews. Good job, by the way, till I get an acceptable written offer, as you should. What do I do if I get a written offer from another company before I get a written offer from company A? Melissa, thoughts?
Well, first, ask, can I take time to consider this? And then you send an email to the first one and say, how much longer do you need? I have another offer on the table. Use it to your advantage. Venn diagram, 2 circles, get your crayons out. What do you like best about both offers? What don't you like? Because when you know what you want, it's easy. The decision makes itself. You don't even have to think about it anymore.
Gretchen, what advice would you give?
I mean, I'd kind of want to know a little bit more about the verbal offer and how closely that's tied to a written offer. If they've made a verbal offer, but there's no immediate, I mean, they have to do checks, but usually, I mean, it was my experience as a hiring manager for more than a decade that we would have done that before I made the verbal offer. I would kind of be able to know that already. So instead of hedging, I might just go back to them and say, when can I expect, the background checks to be done? Or, when can I expect your offer? And if you have another one on the table, you can, I would disclose that, there's the rule of scarcity. And so now if you're a more valuable commodity when you're a scarcer commodity. And if other people are interested in the talent that you have to bring, then maybe company A needs to think about that. I would not hide that fact at all. Yeah.
And the other side, conditional job offer. They should be giving you one of those to check your references if they're asking you to sign a written authorization.
Exactly.
So that's another conversation to have, but how thorough is their screening process? I'm not sure. I don't know if I love that.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Melissa does background checks, y'all. So how is a company doing a background check on you if you never signed anything, allowing them to do a background check on you? Just asking. Maybe all you did was give them some references. I don't know. And I can't really tell who this is on my side. It just says LinkedIn user. Yeah. But I definitely think, like Gretchen and Melissa said, if you get a good written offer and it's from company B, company A should have moved faster, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Unless the offer is just that much better from company A and you're willing to wait and but I say keep interviewing even when you get a written offer until that day that you're starting your job and you're in that role and you have the laptop and you have the email address and it is real. Yeah. It's not real until you literally get whoever at whatever.com and it works and you're not shut out. That's when it's real, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move right into this next topic. It's a little interesting. We're going to talk about after COVID, how views on work have changed. Okay. How things are different now. We are all kind of in this like in between. People want remote, but people are asking us to go back to the office. A lot of people are betting on themselves. A lot of people, all of us right here, we're working for ourselves right here. Sorry, I'm putting the wrong way. We're working for ourselves, right? Who knows? But I want to talk about how it's changed after COVID, what's better, what's worse. And let's have Gretchen start us off on this one.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that, a lot of the conversation, I think we get lost in the labeling remote, in office, hybrid, instead of what's the important thing that I might have to be compromising or giving up to do that. Is it a time freedom thing? Is it, a proximity thing? Do I have maybe some special physical needs that can't be addressed? A lot of things can change in the blink of an eye, let alone 2 to 3 years since the pandemic happened, and so there are a lot of other considerations that people have. But what happens is I think sides get dug in over the names. I need to have remote instead of I need to have a more accessible situation, a more accessible schedule, a more accessible environment, that kind of thing, so that we have discussion points that we can work with to everyone's mutual benefit. That's very important, instead of side A wants this, side B wants that. And I think that COVID, all that time, by ourselves when everybody went remote really gave us the opportunity to realize what we weren't doing, what we could do without. Now we figured out new ways to do things. And I think it really helped things bubble up to the surface of what was really important for a lot of people. When there were slews of people resigning and leaving employers, there was part of the discussion that I didn't see happen, which was about that time freedom, that control aspect. You heard it like a little bit like, why would I give up my 5-step commute for a 30-minute commute or an hour commute? But what that represented in their day, it wasn't just the commute or that block of time. It was a chunk of time in which they could be doing so many other things, having breakfast with their children, reading a little bit, having a morning meditation, getting ahead on the day. All those kind of things are really important. I saw employers, mandate people come back to the office, people who would get up 1 to 2 hours earlier and get 1 to 2 hours more of productivity in, that the employer was completely negating because he or she needed butts in a chair in a physical location. So now we have to be tethered to a geographic location. That's not how work gets done in the 21st century. And so I think that after COVID, the views changed in terms of not so much, what the employer or the company wants, but what do we all need? And if we can find a middle ground, great. But if we can't, people are ready to do it on their own. And they have in large measure. Yeah.
And really quick, I want to add to that. If you are one of these people, you're like, we have to bring people back. People are faking their activities. I know that was something that happened recently, right? Leaders were finding out their employees were faking their activities. How well did you train your team? How passionate were the people you actually hired to do that role, right? How often were you checking in with your team? You cannot hire fully remote employees and just expect it to be amazing all the time. So please, please, please check yourself too when these things are happening to you as a leader. There's a reason people are faking their activities. There's a reason they're not living up to the person you thought they were when you hired them. Maybe you need a recruiter. Maybe you need some help. Maybe you need some help in your hiring process. But think about that when you're having those issues with your team. A lot of that is a reflection of the leadership on the team. So when your people are disengaged, look at yourself in the mirror. When your people aren't giving their all, when your people are, and you can tell, right? Like, don't lie. Don't act like you can't tell. And you can put your head in the sand, but your people are going to move on. I'm going to message them. They're going to be out the door. So think about that. You cannot put your head in the sand. Okay. You have to care about your people. People are your number one commodity. They should be the number one thing you're investing in 2023. That's my biggest view of how our lives have changed after COVID. Companies are realizing people are their biggest commodities. Things are changing. There's companies out there right now that give you 2 weeks off paid before you start. It is mandated. There's unlimited time off with mandated minimums now. These things are changing. I've never thought that would have been a thing before COVID. So that's my 2 cents. Melissa, what about you?
I'll be honest. I won't name drop, but I beat out one of the largest car manufacturers in the world for one of my team members. And it was because I empowered them to be trusted at home, to do the job they were hired for. I trusted that they were passionate about the job because I screened effectively. That's where you figure that out. And then you let a grown-up be a grown-up. When you think about that child's mindset, 5 to 7, we got taught by our teachers, if she let us work alone, she trusted us and we were one of the good kids. If you're not doing that for your team, you're by default telling them they're the other. They're the me who got turned around in the classroom because I talked too much. And then joke was on them. I echoed off the wall. I just got louder. The reality is you empower those passions. If somebody trained me to shut up, do you know how many humans would be doing a miserable job because we never met? Stop quieting down the stuff you don't like. Ask yourself why you don't like it, and then self-adjust. That's my advice. Hire a consultant to come in and tell you where it's wrong.
Like Gretchen said, bring your full self to the meeting, right? Don't dim for anyone. You are you.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. It's really important. I mean, I think that, not to down, I don't think that anybody can ever downplay what, the pandemic, and it, as we get further and further from it, now it's an endemic here in the United States. Okay. It's something we're always going to live with. But when that happened, it wasn't just South Florida or the United States. It was the world. The entire world went through the same thing collectively together. And that's really important because there's a fundamental shift that happened during that time. And there are all kinds of reasons. Everybody's, very different, and their experience is very different. And certainly, I was still in corporate at the time, and my team, we were distributed, but that was a team of, I think at the time we were 18. And so we created plans and check-ins, and we had, to your point, Lauren, we were very much, in tune with each other. We had a daily stand up via Zoom every morning. We just made sure that we were in contact with people. And then, again, when we could get out and get into contact, we made those efforts as well. But I think it's really important to remember it was a big thing, and not to negate it because time has passed. People went through a lot, and there's a lot of psychology that, employers and leadership need to consider when we're talking about that. You have every right as an employer to say, we're bringing people back, but there has to be logic on the part of the associate base to have that make sense to them. Because at the end of the day, everyone's going to make a personal decision, what's in the best interest for themselves and their families and that kind of thing. And it all has to work together, or they'll find work somewhere else.
And they will, because Lauren's in their DMs.
Right?
Just like that.
A little bit sometimes. And if I'm not in their DMs, they're in my DMs, and I'm helping them get in someone else's DMs. Let's be honest.
Because I'm going to be hiring, yes.
About the network and understanding who you know. And a big part of it is not pitching someone, connecting just to get in. But I tell this to a lot of candidates that I talk to right now. If you're trying to get into a company and you're like, oh, well, Lauren, I connected with all of the people in HR. That's like, okay, cool. Do they do the job you want to do? Are they in the department you want to work in? Like, unless you're applying for something in HR, there's other people we could be targeting. There's other people you should be talking to right now, right? Your network matters, y'all. I know that's not necessarily an after COVID thing, but it kind of is. We're not in office. We're not showing face anymore. If you're not building a brand right now, no one's going to know who you are. Go ahead.
Actually, I think that's a really salient point, because I think that networking after COVID is much, much more of a thing. During COVID, when we couldn't physically get together with our in-person networks, what did we do? We went online and we found more people, and we broadened our own network. So in a lot of ways, we increased our exposure to each other during COVID, when we couldn't have exposure to each other, but we found ways to do that. And so I think it's a very significant point you just made. Because when it comes to networking, it's not just, okay, yeah, I connected with everybody in HR at the company I want to work for. Okay. By that, you sent a connection request and then just went, yay, you connected with me, and that was it. Like, that's not networking. Networking is relationship building. It's people getting together, talking about whatever, and we do it all the time in different ways. This is a networking thing. I'm talking to these ladies. We're talking to everybody here. There are people in the audience like Trevor and other people, and Stephen and Melissa do coffee chats, do audio events, live, web, video events. So that's all networking as well. It's relationship building. If you don't like the word networking, just think of it as relationship building, because that's what it is. You're building partnerships with other people.
You're playing on the playground, guys. You're at recess. Have some fun. Go where the tetherball is if that's your game. If you like volleyball, go hang out with the sales folks. Sales and marketing, go play. Like tennis. Like, just go have fun, because that's how Lauren and I met. We were having fun on a post. That's how Gretchen and I met. Gretchen and I are going to collaborate. Mac and cheese, buddy. We're coming. I don't know how you like it, but we're bringing it all, right?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Adam, he's had some serious issues with recruiters. And then his next comment was, if I want to take him on. I don't really know what kind of job you're looking for right now, Adam, right? But I am recruiting for certain roles right now. If you're applying for one of those, I can definitely help you with one of those. But if not, I can try to network you with someone else. And listen, like, there's bad recruiters, like there's bad bankers, like there's bad salesmen, like there's bad coaches, like there's bad every single profession. No one's going to be perfect. But yeah, so Adam, if you're looking for an AE role and you're in Seattle, I'm hiring for that right away. I also have some other roles, but I doubt you're an electrician. Nathan, I've seen your post recently. You're knocking on doors where companies are behaving badly to pull people over to the good ones. Yes, Nathan, I want to help people find joy, right? And a lot of the times it's not necessarily that the company I'm pulling from is bad, but the leadership is bad. And like I said, people are putting their head in the sand. and people come to me and they feel underappreciated. They feel like their manager doesn't care about them, or maybe their manager is so overworked that their manager physically can't be the person they need. So I'm going to talk about it. And that's one of the reasons why I have privilege. I know that I got to quit my job and say, I'm going to take 6 months and go off on my own. And I say a lot of things that people can't say on LinkedIn. I get a DM probably 3 or 4 times a day from a woman who says, I can't even like your post because my boss might see it. And it talks about sexual harassment. And that's what I go through at work. They're heartbreaking. So it's not necessarily just bad companies, but it's bad leaders in these companies as well.
Yeah.
And if I have the opportunity to call it out, I will.
I need to talk to that human. You already know how I feel about bad bosses like that. Number 1, no. Number 2, just call me.
Well, the other thing too is your phrase, Melissa, document then act, which is your company, right? But when it comes to sexual harassment or any kind of harassment or anything that is unjust in the workplace, document everything, then act, because you have the receipts, as they say, as the kids say. I know I'm dating myself, but I think I'm the oldest one on this panel. But do it. You document everything. That is your evidentiary support when you go forward and you begin to make a case for either, voluntary separation with, a separation package or something else, but document then act. Now those are that's her thing, but that is legit advice. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it covers a lot, guys. And not only, even if you don't want to chase it down legally, which I think you should, because otherwise you're just leaving the next person in the hot seat, you still need to do it for you. When you sit down and really write down what you're facing every day and then ask yourself the question, if you'd allow anybody you love to deal with that, it's really hard to go back to work the next day. And so don't get discouraged. Reach out to people who will talk you through it and help, but definitely reach out. You don't have to go through this at all. My boss tells me to eat glitter. You can have a boss who wants you to be in glitter or whatever your thing is. Like, you can.
And I think too, Trevor had a good point about setting some privacy settings. Now that's not going to, stop your boss being a jerk, but in terms of being able to be a little more active on a social platform, you can set your privacy settings. He's absolutely right. So that people who, and don't connect with him, I mean, that also could be something, taking punitive action against you because you didn't want to connect with your boss. That's not a thing. No, that's not going to happen. And if it does, that's actionable. Yeah.
And don't let your employer make you feel like you have to link your LinkedIn to their account or anything like that. I want to get to Harold's question really quick, but I forgot to tell you all at the beginning of this show, if you're in the comments, #live, if you tag #Friday Live, I do have a giveaway going for a t-shirt that I'll draw for at the end. And I forgot that I was doing that today. But it's here and it's there. So if you want a t-shirt, a Lessons with Lauren shirt, an LWL shirt, #Friday Live, we'll give one away. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we have some other really cool prizes coming back. And we have some really cool guests coming up this month. So I just want to make sure I tag that really quick in here before we keep moving on. Your time's getting away from us. You're fine, Gretchen. It's okay. We all have.
There's your producer. We know Newman's coming in to put his 2 cents into the show.
And then the other thing I want to say really quick, huge shout out to Brandy Baum. She sent me this awesome Headset Advisor t-shirt and this amazing homemade, who has time to make homemade granola with dehydrated fruit, so sweet, so amazing. So big shout out to Brandy. I said a few weeks ago on this show, if any of you send me swag, I will wear it on my show. I am a woman of my word. Free advertising for just a minute. But I am looking for more sponsors. So if anybody wants to sponsor, get Extra Girl. But free advertising, send me a shirt. I'll wear it. As long as you're not a recruiter. I'm not wearing another recruiting shirt, just being honest. But anything else, send me some swag and let's go. And #Friday Live. Really quick, Harold says it's a fair question to ask a potential employer what their people strategy is and how it has changed post-pandemic. 100%. If an employer tells you the culture hasn't changed, right? If they're like, oh no, it's exactly that's a big red flag for me because it needed to change. Things had to change. So Harold, that's what I would say about that being a fair question. You need to be asking that. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's jump into our next topic. This is our last topic of the show. and it's called Risk and Reward. Was it worth it? Diving into entrepreneurship. So who went into business for themselves first? Was it Gretchen?
I opened Career Insights in April of 2022.
Okay, Melissa, what about you?
I went self-employed in 2015.
Okay,
Gosh,
so
she's the OG.
Melissa's the OG. Melissa, why don't we have you dive into it first? Well, I'll talk about it a little bit. We only have 15 minutes to go, and we have to draw for the shirt. But diving in, it's not for everyone. Diving into entrepreneurship is the only thing I'm going to preface all of this conversation with. Is it is not for everyone. If it's not for you, that's okay. But it was for us. So, Melissa, let's talk about it.
Honestly, I had a boss who I had helped build one startup for. It was a satellite office, a secondary staffing firm. It did really well, but he started nitpicking commission, finding reasons not to pass the buck literally my way. I quit him. I went to somewhere else, got laid off like the masses can do. The machine that paid me broke. He comes back and decides we should do another startup. And it was the beginning of my background screening career. Same habits. Few years in, my bucks are disappearing and woe is me and we can't do it. And honestly, I asked for a mental health day, got asked to come in during my mental health day, and then asked to give him 2 weeks after I didn't get one mental health day. So I quit immediately with no security net. I started reaching out to people who I knew that knew other background screening company owners. And I said, hey, who do you know who needs me? Tell him I'm going to be self-employed. I will be a contractor. I will consult. And that's what I did. And honestly, that has been very successful. It allowed me a lot of freedom. The one thing I will say, guys, I have insurance through my spouse. It's fantastic insurance through a huge corporation. So that's a consideration. You have to be passionate. You have to want to jump up and do it every day. Because if you need to be motivated by your team at work, you're not ready. The reason we want you to move in your passion and purpose is because if you hand a toddler crayons on a white sofa and say, be right back with your marker, you're in your book, guy. Okay, I'll be right back. You just hold on. He's not waiting. You need to have that kind of energy about your thing before you leave. You do, or you're going to fail. But if you can get excited about somebody else's product, so much so that it just lives next to you and you can sell this because you love it so much, that's when you go. There is never a time I won't say, hey, get your sparkly cup from Starbucks. It makes me happy every time I see it. It helps me remember to drink water. But I'm passionate about the reason it's so great for me, right? It's the water. It's not the cup. When you can figure out your why, when you can figure out the passion, when you can't contain it, go sell it.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, that's good. I mean, for me, it was basically, I just got to a point after 10 and a half, well, actually more than 20 years in corporate, but 10 and a half years at my last company. And it's not a knock against the company. There was something in me that said, you've done everything you can do here. It's time to move on. I had no idea what I was going to move on to. And again, yes, that was a privilege. I just was going to take some time to kind of figure out what I was going to do. I just knew in my gut, it was one of those feelings that I could not ignore it. I had to leave. And it was not long, a month or so later, one of my clients was like, well, why don't you just do this? And I'm like, what? She goes, this, why don't you do this? I always have to wait till it's at night or the weekend to talk to you when we're both, off work. And why don't you do this? And I was like, am I allowed to do this like all the time? I don't know. I'd never done it all the time. Like I'd done it for like 13 years, but always as a freelancer, like on the side, with my other jobs. And I never thought about it. But then I thought, why not? I love to talk to people. I love to help people get what they want. It's what I loved to do when I was in corporate, was getting people things that they wanted, whether it was something, a video, a photography, like my team was content and creative services at my last company. But whether it was, my employees, which, you can't always get everybody what they want, but I love doing that. I love helping people solve their problems or figure out how, for them to solve their problems and have that light bulb go off and have them see it's like that blue sky moment. It is all there. I just didn't see it. There was a big cloud or there was a door closed or whatever. But once they open it or that cloud, they can move the cloud, then they see it. And it's just, it literally gives me goosebumps when I see that happen for people. When I see that moment of clarity, I'm not kidding. It just moves me so much when people realize like how powerful they are. Like they can do amazing things. You can do such amazing things for yourself if you believe it. And so that's really why, was it a risk? Yeah. My husband, it's no secret, we had to medically retire him in 2017 after his heart surgery. So we were a single income family, and, still are. So it was a big risk. And I am insured through me in the marketplace. So that was another big risk. But he's, going to be 69 soon, and he has other insurance, but I don't. So yeah, big risk. But the reward so far, I would not trade it for the world. I actually feel for the first time in my professional life, and again, I'm 53 years old, so I'm a little late to the game on this one, but for the first time, I actually feel like I am making the difference that I wanted to make as that child with the crayon, like as that little girl who was like, I'm going to take on the world. I actually feel like I can make a dent, even if it's for one person. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. And so, yeah, I believe that it's been worth it.
Gretchen, you just gave me the best visual. I had this toddler like with the purse on, with everything shoved in it, like every toy ever in the backpack, and the kid's just ready to go. And you guys, you're going to go get a job. You're either going to apply in the application, or you're going to apply for a business license, for your LLC, for your EIN number, for a new bank account under the business domain. It's going to be action. You're writing the story either way. Do you want to write their story? There's no shame in that. I did it forever. Gretchen did it forever. We have pillars behind us because people trained us on their dime. But what we did for them, we now do for ourselves. And so what is your plot? Just plot it. Do you want to work for yourself? Do you want to work for somebody else? Do you want to do both? You can do both. You're allowed.
And I will say this, your entrepreneurship doesn't have to be starting a business. It could be creating the role that you want within the company you're already in. It could be identifying the opportunity that you may not see right now. Those kind of things are available to you. So entrepreneurship can be, it can be however you want to create that opportunity and that situation for yourself. And so again, training your leadership to know how to treat you, how to lead you, how you need to be communicated with, all those things, you can create that for yourself. So it doesn't necessarily mean jumping off a cliff as I did, but it absolutely could mean identifying what is important for you. And like we started the show with, taking that first step to create that for yourself, that situation, that opportunity for yourself.
100%. And I don't want to talk about this too much for myself. I just dove into my own business last month, 31 days ago.
I know. Yay.
Yeah, it just happened. So I don't feel like I have a ton to say about it, but I will say, if you are the type of person who every time you get into a new role, you feel like you treat it like you own the company, like it matters that much to you. Like if the lights didn't turn on tomorrow, you would be devastated. You could probably be an entrepreneur. You could probably work for yourself. You could probably find some knowledge in your head that you're that passionate about that someone would pay you for. Okay. The first month that you make money off the internet and you're like, oh, I don't have to be tied to somebody's paycheck.
Yep.
Hold on. If I just amplify that 3 or 4 times, what? Listen, it's really mind blowing. And when you actually can do it for yourself, it's powerful. I have to really quick. Somebody hashtag Friday Live and it was spaced out. You didn't get entered in. So do that again. Try again if you had like a space in your Friday Live, because there's only 6 people in that drawing right now, y'all.
Oh my gosh, I want to go do it almost, but I don't want to mess anything up here.
Somebody's gonna get that shirt.
I have to tell you guys though, Lauren, I just had a thought. If you've ever wanted to become an entrepreneur but doubted it, I need you to understand how simple it can be. And it's as simple as a neon sign, some dot stickers, and a permanent marker, and it just says yard sale. And people show up to buy your junk because you were passionate enough to put it outside and put stickers on it. That is entrepreneurship in a base level. Being a 1099, being self-employed, being a contractor, it can be that simple. Put a price tag on your forehead and say, hey, accountants, I love hashtag Excel on LinkedIn, and watch what happens to your inbox. Stop overthinking it. Stop buying into, I need 12 steps to figure out how to get started. That's not really what it takes. It takes 2 circles and some crayons. Figure out what you want to do and put a price tag on it. It really is that simple.
It really
You'll
is.
know when it's time to leave your employer because you'll make more in your thing.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Okay, so Adam says, I'm interested in your thoughts on the idea of working for yourself as a single parent. Melissa, what do you think?
You're setting an example. What do you want to set? I mean, there's a lot to consider, but you're going to have to Venn. I mean, I Venn diagram, guys. That's my answer for everything. 2 circles. It's so simple. But what are the risks and what are the rewards? I will tell you, I know Starbucks, 20 hours a week is all they require, and you get their benefits. What if you spent 20 hours a week in your thing and 20 hours a week in their thing, and then you got free coffee while you're on your shift, so you go home and you're completely energized for your other?
Yeah, I laugh, but I'm just picturing like jacked up. But
Lauren's like, wait a minute. Do they give me free coffee? Because she might just go apply.
Listen, I'm not going to go apply at Starbucks. Starbucks, if you want to sponsor me, I spend $12 on coffee like 3 or 4 times a week. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we've covered most of the topics. Harold said he loved the topics today, but what made this time special was the infectious energy from the panel. Y'all, that's a compliment if I've ever been given one. Thank you, Harold. Harold's great. If you're not following Harold, go follow Harold. Hey, yo, Adam. Okay, we got some more people doing the hashtag Friday Live. Adam says, Harold, so very true. Lauren does a great job on host. Thank you. I am just blessed that I get some of these amazing people to agree to be on this show with me. Y'all, some days I'm like, how did they say yes? I'm always in shock. So just so you guys know, coming up next week, we have Kevin KD Dorsey. We have Junior Larty coming up in the house. We're going to have the McKee brothers from Sass Bros coming on. I got Landon Hobbs coming on. Next month, we're going to have Morgan J. Ingram. Y'all, the heat is coming. The people are coming. Sales knowledge, objections. We're going to have some laughs. We're definitely going to have some shows. I know this show is kind of like growth and career and da-da, but y'all, sometimes we're just going to come on here and laugh. I'm going to have like Lauren's stand-up hour where I make funny, bad jokes in my office.
Oh, I want to be there.
To listen. But yeah, so if you want to do hashtag Friday Live one more time, we'll do this giveaway really quick. We're up to 8 entries. So one last chance. We are coming up to the very end of the show. Gretchen, Melissa, anything you want to say? Last words for everyone?
Yeah, Melissa Houston is the name. It looks like I'm not showing up for everybody. So I just want to tell you, Melissa Houston, if you look for the Cultivator of Dreams, you can't miss it. Hashtag document, then act. I'm there too. I'm all over Lauren's post also, so you can find me that way.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gretchen.
Yeah, Gretchen Skalka, career confidence mindset. That's what I do. It's not your typical, your traditional career coaching, but that is what I do. And the flight attendant is every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. So I know that's a little bit early, but it is basically, it's one of those shows where if you need to talk about it, work through it, get through it, break through it, that's what we talk about. And so I bring on special guests every week, just like this. And I've only been doing it 3 weeks. Episode 4 is Tuesday, so I hope you show up. Yeah, thank you.
And y'all, if you like this show, if you feel like you got something out of this, I know LinkedIn doesn't really give us anything for reposting it, but please, please, please comment, please engage, please let people know this show is every Friday. Come learn a bit with us, get a little break from your day, find some community. There is community in these LinkedIn streets, right? And we want to have this community with you all. So please, please, please show up. We will show up for you. And all right, let's give this away. So let me see. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Let's make sure we do the right one. All right. Can everybody see my screen? We have entries. Let's go.
Good luck.
It's going to be...
Tanya!
All right. So Tanya, if you will DM me, we will get going. We will get you that shirt. I need your size and address. We will get that over to you. Y'all, I have been thinking about, you guys know I attend some other shows like this where they do kind of like after party events and people get to actually come on and talk. So I've been thinking about that. If anybody feels like they get some value in that, please DM me and let me know so that maybe our hosts can actually get some interaction with our guests. But y'all, this has been fun. It is Friday. enjoy your weekend. We'll see
Yes.
you next week. Bye.